We're very happy that you're here and we want to listen to you. So I give you the floor.
Thank you very much. And I'm delighted to be here. Thank you. And for letting me speak in English. Look, I'm gonna speak in English. I'm going to speak pretty fast. You're not going to understand everything I say, and some of what I say won't be very interesting, and it really doesn't matter. Because, you know, no one remembers anything that people say. Nothing. But you might remember how I make you feel. And that's quite important. If you think about that as an organisation, you only remember how I make you feel. Okay, good. So I'm going to talk shortly, briefly, about just the concept of revolution. And I think it's interesting to be alive in a time of revolution. So if you go back 500 years, Copernicus realised that actually the sun was the centre of the solar system. And that was a very significant realisation, that something else was in the middle. The orbits were different than we thought. It actually took about 3 or 4 generations for that to really take effect. I mean, of course, it changed physics and it changed maths, but actually it changed religion. It changed politics. It was a critical moment where we moved on our axis. And then if you go back 250 years, James Hargreaves started the Industrial Revolution with the spinning jenny. Suddenly, there was a new centre around which our societies, our communities, people coming into the cities, the whole way we organised our economies just changed. It took about 3 or 4 generations. You can't go back. You have to go with it, but it takes time. We didn't realise what the Industrial Revolution was doing to the means of production and distribution, but it changed it forever. It's 25 years. It's 25 years really since the internet was born. And if you like, we've got this new centre of the universe now. We've got this digitally empowered, connected customer. This is Anastasia. I dream about Anastasia all the time. I'm obsessed by Anastasia. And what I think's happening is we're young in a revolution. But what it means is the orbits that we're familiar with are definitely changing. Planets are crashing and burning in surprising ways, and new planets are appearing because the orbits have shifted. And if you're an organisation, a commercial organisation, a public sector organisation, B2C, B2B, you've got a choice. You can continue to move in your old orbit, or you can understand it may take time, and we don't yet fully understand what the new orbits are, but you can start to try and change. So that's what I want to talk about briefly. It's interesting you had disrupt or die in your title. I didn't know that, but I've got the same idea really: react, innovate, or die. So that's what I want to just talk about very briefly. Ooh, got some feedback there. And I'm going to start by making some really obvious points. So forgive me about the lovely Anastasia. So I don't care whether it's technology driven or whether technology is following, but the bottom line is technology is exploding all around her. And the way that she touches the world and the way that the world touches her at work and at home has changed. Obviously, she's got these 2 billion potential friends, but what does that mean? What does friendship mean? And even in the last 10 years, this photograph's really interesting. This is St. Peter's Square in Rome 10 years ago. And this is the same photograph at the recent canonization of the 2 saints in St. Peter's Square. It's really interesting. What's interesting about that, though, isn't that they're taking photographs. Yeah, they're taking photographs, great. But it's their ability to share and connect. But what I think's really interesting is the power of the thing in their hands. Yeah, this device, this is a Rubik's Cube. It's 5 seconds. Okay, so in 5 seconds, a Rubik's Cube, I can understand the pattern, I can solve the pattern, I can drive the robots to solve the cube in 5 seconds. And we've all got one in our pocket. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous in 10 years. This smartphone thing, we don't know where it's going to go, and it won't be a smartphone. Obviously, it's going to be wearable, it's going to be ingestible, it's going to be machine to machine. I'm going to come on to ingestible sensors. Really interesting. Really interesting. So stuff's happening, yeah. Her behaviour's changing. It's beginning to, trust me, it's beginning to change. Our children are scary, aren't they? But they're creative and they're interesting. And of course, with that come expectation. Remember, it's the same Anastasia at work and at home, on the road and in bed. It's the same buyer, it's the same thinker, it's the same researcher. More options, more access, more influence. I like this little video.
You think that would just bring us back to reality?
You think that would just bring us back to reality?
Yeah, because everything is amazing right now and nobody's happy. Like, in my lifetime, the changes in the world have been incredible. This is what people are like now. They got their phone and they're like, it won't. Give it a second. It's going to space. Can you give it a second to get back from space? I was on an airplane and there was internet, high-speed internet on the airplane. That's the newest thing that I know exists. And I'm sitting on the plane and they go, open up your laptop, you can go on the internet. And it's fast and I'm watching YouTube clips. I'm in an airplane. And then it breaks down. And they apologize, the internet's not working. The guy next to me goes, this is bull.
This is a really important line.
Like how quickly the world owes him something he knew existed only 10 seconds ago.
Right.
That you got to fly. You're flying. It's amazing. Everybody on every plane should just constantly be going, oh my God! Wow!
Yes.
You're flying. You're sitting in a chair in the sky.
Yes.
You know, it's a real challenge because businesses and organizations take generations to build. You know, silos and specialisms are good things. The reason we create the brand promise and the brand execution that we have is because it's evolved. This is ridiculous. How quickly the world owes us something that didn't even exist 10 seconds ago. So what do we do? Where do we meet her? And I think that's where customer experience, you know, she has a choice and she has a voice. What is it? What is it that makes us stand out in this globalizing, commoditizing world where suddenly she's in charge, it's transparent, she's connected, she knows everything, like my kids, they know everything. How do you stand out? I don't care whether she's spending $3 on a coffee or whether she's actually buying a fleet of 40 trucks of $300,000 each. These are both, Starbucks and Caterpillar are both customers of ours, both obsessed with customer experience, both obsessed with the same Anastasia, completely different business models. How do they stand out? And people talk about delight me and surprise me. I don't know. She's buying a pension. I don't want to be surprised. I want to be reassured. I want to be comforted. Maybe I want to be engaged or inspired. Maybe I want to be served. Maybe I want to be empowered. Your job's to get out of the way. Empower me. And of course, it depends. What I demand of you is contextual. In this place, at this moment, in this device, given my intention, given where I'm at. In a commercial model, buy, own, commit, consume. It depends clearly on your structure. We don't buy and own gas, but we do chocolate. We don't own chocolate, you consume chocolate. So there are differences, but can you see there's a center of the universe with a consistent pivot. We at Oracle, we're investing massively, which is strange. If you think about it, it's very strange for a technology company which spends $5 billion a year on research and development to be investing massively in low-tech, low-resolution journey mapping. Yeah? Have you seen journey mapping? Do you know what it is? It's like Post-its, and it's techniques. We use the Stanford University techniques, but there are different techniques. This is a real customer doing journey mapping. This is a university doing the student life cycle. Incredible breakthroughs by understanding what's happening. And this spread down the corridor. It went off down the corridor. More people coming in, more ideas, more innovation, more creativity. You see, if this is true, if this is going to completely redefine our businesses, and potentially, by the way, and this is why Oracle's having to really think about it, it's going to completely redirect technology spending. The CIO, the IT guy, won't be spending on technology. It'll be the innovators in marketing, in service, in social, in mobile, in whatever, who will be investing in technology. So we're having to really think about journey mapping. Understanding the emotion of a modern buyer. Understanding what tilts a decision. It's really interesting. You get into the psychology of journey and of purchase and of community and all the rest of it. So we're investing a lot in this. This is a journey mapping session I'll show you. It's really simple and it's low resolution. I do it every week. I do it every week with customers. It's very hands-on, it's very low res, and we're looking for creativity. What is my organization? What's my brand? So you lay out these journeys and you're looking for new perspectives. You're looking to connect. So we're trying to energize people on their feet, 40 people, 50 people in a room. Looking for these new moments that matter. Understanding the red string. Where's the value? Where's the value? Really, it's such good fun. But this is what one of the world's largest high technology companies, this is what Oracle, this is what we're doing all day. It's ridiculous. But it's not. It's because there's a new center of gravity. There's a new way of thinking about experience in a world where technology has exploded. She's saying, why should I invest in you? Now, let's be clear about this. Time. I haven't got enough time. I haven't got enough trust. Oh, you haven't got enough money either. Just forget the money for a minute. You want my time, you want my attention, you want my interest, and you want my trust. That's about story. That's about explaining who you are, what you stand for, what you do. It's about the experience and the taste that you leave. You can worry about money later. What is it? What are the stories you want to hear? We do a lot of work with stories. So 3 simple words, I will come back to these. Be simple, be useful, and be engaging. Engaging or meaningful. I'll come back to those words. I'm going to just jump around very quickly with some stories. So they're very simple examples. They're very simple examples of successful customers of ours. So this is Nike. This is an old story now. Yeah. So they really thought about the running shoe, and they realized that to have the best running shoe sustainably is not a high margin, sustainable game. What they wanted to do is get into Anastasia's life as a runner. And the fuel band is already out of date, by the way, but the fuel band was their beginning to understand that Anastasia could now post and share and track with them, with her friends, why she runs and when she runs. She can analyze it. They can start to understand her needs, her connection. Oh, yeah, if she wants some new shoes, they may not even have to say, "Psst, it's time you bought some new shoes." Sometimes they say it, but she trusts them, so it's okay. They don't even have to. It's really interesting. This is Pepsi. This is completely different. So Nike are using our experience manager technology. Pepsi are using our social listening technology. This is a live newspaper. And as the kids click, the stories go up and they rise up. And they're analysing who's clicking and what's important. What kind of marketing campaigns are building their destination brand. It's really interesting. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to create a destination community around teens and using music and using sport and using fashion. And they're tracking dynamically social. Investing in Beyonce is not an accident. They've understood what moves and where it moves automatically. Those are both customer experience. Yeah, those are both customer experience. The Nike and the Pepsi examples, our technology doing completely different things. This is McDonald's. Now, first we go, oh yeah, it's social. Yeah, but it's completely different social. This is quite interesting. Big global brand, running our social technology, 20 million likes, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, they do the global campaigns, but this is what I really like. Go local, okay? So now the guys who run McDonald's in Chicago are building a personality. What's going on for the ball game? Who's meeting for the ball game? Who's following you, who's also following us around the ball game? What are we going to do for the promotions in Chicago this weekend for you and your friends? Yeah? Who's talking about what? And Manhattan is completely different. And this solo-mo, yeah, social, local, mobile. The big brands have realised that local and location and touch and trust are really important. So you build a global platform, but you're using technology to create local personality. I think that's really interesting. Apple, totally different. In both their B2B and their B2C market, what they've got is these communities. They've got crazy guys who don't work for them, who are fixing bugs on the iOS 8 already, and how it does or doesn't interact with other things. How do you create knowledge communities so that people can feel like VIPs and they can share? But a simple guy like me or a shop assistant in Paraguay can say, how do you fix the iOS 8 thing? Thanks. So this really rich knowledge management. So across all these different disparate data sources, they've got their knowledge organised, semi-structured data, but rising the right things to the top in a structured way. See, knowledge for them is a critical part of their brand promise and the support and what goes with it. I'm just giving some stories really quickly because what I'm trying to say is really obvious what I'm trying to say. Where you start with customer experience is very much about your story. Okay, so this is Maersk. And Maersk's a shipping line. It's a B2B shipping line. They ship containers around the world. And they're using our social technology in quite an interesting way. So across about 8 different social properties, they've built a very clear personality. This is 1 month. That's 1 month of tweets from Maersk, yeah? And they're using Instagram and they're using Pinterest. And I mean, we're talking about millions of B2B followers. So it's absolutely amazing how they've done it. Across all these different social properties, you know, this is a Facebook one. I mean, that's, 1.6 million likes. For a B2B shipping line, that's ridiculous. I didn't know that 1.6 million people even knew who Maersk were. But what's happened now, any of you who work in shipping, if you want to find out what's happening in shipping, you don't go to the industry publications. You don't go to the kind of industry bodies. You go to Maersk. Because they know where everyone is and what's happening all the time. Phenomenally successful use of it. There's this Caterpillar. Okay, different. This is my girl who's buying 40 of these trucks of $250,000 each. So what they're doing is they're absolutely using technology to give her the kind of experience B2B that she gets at home. This has got to be nice, it's rich, it's smart content. But what they're doing is every time she clicks, and they've got some quite fun social stuff. Look again, millions of likes. Caterpillar trucks. But every time she clicks and every time she looks, they're building her digital body language. They're working out who she is and what she's interested in. Occasionally, they'll ask her a question. Progressive profiling. When it's right, just ask her a question. She'll tell you because she trusts you and you waited. Don't make her fill a form in. And at the right moment, they're providing her different services and they'll reach out potentially. Bang! You want to hire a fleet of trucks in your local town? There's a finance offer just for you. I'm listening. Because they've built a digital body language understanding. Okay, story. Last one. I like this one because it's so simple. So this is Starbucks, one of our customers. And they had like a really boring loyalty program running on kind of plastic cards. If you buy 6 coffees, you get the 7th one free or something. Do those programs really work? So they made it go mobile, and they combined basically their old loyalty program with their old payment card, which is a gift card, and they just kind of put it into the mobile app. And then they put some of our stuff underneath it, the program now, and in 300 milliseconds, across 25,000 point of sales, they know who you are, where you are, what you drink. But of course, what's really interesting is, yeah, they can reward you, but you can reward your friends. Have a coffee. Thanks. I know who your friends are. I'm not just interested in what you drink, I'm interested in what your friends drink. Not just where are you, but where are your friends? And in the latest innovation now, they've acquired a payment platform. Hey, Matthew, psst, this morning in Starbucks, next door on that side, is your favourite cookery books, half price, just for you, if you pay with your Starbucks app. Great for the bookshop, great for me, and great for Starbucks. Great for Starbucks. Because what they've done is, it's not about the coffee. Nike, it's not about the shoe. Yeah, it's not about the truck. You won't sustainably win with the best shoe, the best coffee, the best truck. What will set you apart is her experience. But the way you deliver her experience is about your story. Where you start is about your story. So we say, well, hang on, okay, that's great. So what you've got is you've got Oracle, you've got loads of technology, and you've just gone bleh, and you're calling it customer experience because you can't think of another word. They're just all different. They're just all different. That's fine. Great. Do you know what? I used to think that as well. I used to think, oh, whatever, it's just fashion. But I don't think it is. And we came across this research. I love this research because it's been around for 7 years. This is Landmark Consulting, but Forrester drew it to our attention. And what they do is they do a very simple survey, apparently quite simple survey. They've got this thing, was it useful? Was it simple? Was it engaging as an experience? And what they do is they ask a bunch of questions, really simple transactions like in retail at the moment, or complex transactions, buying a complex financial product over 6 months. So for different industries, different business models, different times, they ask 3 really simple questions. Was it useful? Was it simple? Was it meaningful, engaging, relevant? Okay. And they ask it across a bunch of industries. This is a commercial analysis. It works in the non-commercial sector too. And what you find is retailers, retailers are at the top here. If you're good as a retailer, you're already behind the curve on those 3 dimensions because that industry's moved faster than TV service providers. Financial services is really interesting. Look at the breadth. Okay, so you're getting different industry dynamics. Okay, here's what they do. Every year, ask the questions, and they buy shares or an interest in the top 10 and the bottom 10. They don't ask, how big's your market share? How big's your research budget? Have I heard of you? No. They buy the top 10 and the bottom 10 on those questions, and they hold it for a year. And then they sell them, and they ask again. Hold it for a year, sell them, ask again. Okay, that's the research methodology. We've been going for 7 years. Okay, very simple. On those 3 dimensions only, those are the only 3 questions. Well, the stock of the market has gone up. It's been a bad 7 years, 15%. The people who answer best on those questions, and remember, there's some big companies like Nokia who weren't scoring very well, but they're big companies. They put them in the bottom 10. The research works. In terms of stock price, the leaders and the laggards on those 3 simple questions absolutely stand apart. And actually, on every metric that matters, was it useful? Was it simple? Was it meaningful as an experience? Wins. Every time wins. It's a lovely piece of research. Okay, I'm going to hurry up now. So everyone goes, okay, well, that's obvious. That's really obvious. So we all want to do customer experience. Everyone wants to do customer experience because it's like really cool. And then this is what's happening. Obviously, because she's getting quite a complex animal around channels, and the traditional way that we thought about our functional silos don't kind of work anymore, everything's a bit broken. So this is what's happening. This is what research is showing us across B2B, B2C, public sector, they're variations. But basically, 91% of senior executives said, we want to be a customer experience leader. We understand this sets us apart. We want to be a leader. And 38% are doing something. The rest are doing nothing. And only 16% are really connecting emotionally from the outside in and investing in customer experience, because it's hard, because it is quite complicated. And so one of the things we try and do, and the reason we do journey mapping so much, is we say, it's time to dare. So it's a cheesy English acronym, yeah, differentiation, acquisition, retention, efficiency. But it is actually about saying, do you dare? Do you dare not to? You see, the revolution's quite young. The revolution is definitely quite young. But we need to develop our stories from the outside in. What's our promise and what's our execution? And what's our aspiration? It's going to change. It needs to be flexibly built. And then this is where the Oracle bit comes in, and I won't do that for you now. We can do that another day. But we start talking about, that's the reality of how organizations have grown up. No one wants to live in that house anymore. So where do you start? How do you put it back together again? And so we get into all the modern technologies with the cloud and all this good stuff. And it is actually quite exciting now that you can build dynamic jigsaw puzzles. You can paint a picture on the box and just put pieces in quickly and flexibly. That one didn't work. Put new pieces in, because technologies move now with the cloud. So that's where we get into all this stuff. And basically understanding the infrastructure, even if you're a small company, a non-profit, infrastructure does actually matter in terms of your ability to flex with anesthesia. And then the information layer, the solution layer, the interaction layer, and that's the stuff we've done. I'm not going to talk to you about that. Very exciting, large, volatile data sets. Woo, 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 woo. There's lots of really good stuff there. Another day. Okay, I've nearly finished. This is my last slide. The reason this is a brilliant time to be alive. Because, honestly, in the same way that James Hargreaves, with his machine, was going, darling, I think I've got something here, with the first knitting machine. Yeah, I think that's where we are. The stuff. And we can't go back. But we don't quite know how it's going to go forward. But the liberty to write the rules is amazing. I wanted to share one with you, and I really will finish, of these new disruptive planets. So Oracle invests in Proteus. This is just one of the technologies. And Proteus is an ingestible sensor. It's as big as a grain of sand. There's no battery, there's no wireless. You eat it, and in 8 hours, it's gone. But for 8 hours, at the DNA level, I know who you are and where you are. And you give me permission. Think about that. If you're an airline, car company, local government, just eat it. I trust you so much, I'm going to eat that grain of sand. Yeah. Now, at the moment, it's just being used for very simple medical reasons. And we've already seen the apps now, not just for her medicine. She knows where her old father is, how her young baby's doing, and monitoring things like activity levels and remembering her meds. But if we start to think about what that means for her home, and we start to think about what that means for her city and the way she engages with the public services, the environment, the way she pays tax, the footprint she leaves, and the supply chains, the businesses that put things into her fridge, into her bank account, into her heart. Isn't it incredible? The Internet of Things is like that new. In the next 10 years, the opportunities to create stuff, remember. I love that thing, the difference between unique selling points and reasons for buying. Remember, it's about her. If we can build stuff, and we can, it's not technical, it's imagination, it's hard. If we can build stuff that connects with her, we're going to win. We're going to win. And then my last thing is, I really think a lot about the birth of printing. I studied medieval Spanish poetry at university. I think a lot about Antwerp and about what was happening with the birth of printing. Let's be really clear. This began as a technology revolution, yeah? So 3 or 4 things happened. Paper, they could suddenly produce paper that was flat and consistent and affordable. They could produce ink that wouldn't dry and wouldn't stick. And they had the technology to load the print blocks into the wooden frames in a way that would actually be sustainable. And the guys who could load them backwards in mirror writing. But the first thing they did basically was print Bibles. All they did was they just did faster, not as beautifully, but faster what the monks were doing. And it's gradually thought, hang on a minute, wait a minute. And of course, eventually they liberated and they connected entire generations of artistic thinkers, political thinkers, scientific thinkers. Printing's not a technology revolution. It was a human revolution. It was an experiential revolution. And I think that's where we are. So when people like Oracle stand up and go blah, blah, blah about customer experience, at the moment we're interesting because it's like the birth of printing. My hope is we won't be very interesting in 10 years, 20 years' time, because the technology will just be pervasive and open and in everyone's fingers, like printing. But what will be really interesting is the new experiences that you guys are going to create. It makes me very, very excited. Thank you very much.